happened was that there was a guy at Harvard by the name of Elliot Noyce, and he had fooled around with stop motion using clay, and he did one black and white, and I saw it, and it intrigued me. And I went home and I found out that my family's 8mm camera would shoot single frame, and I began playing around with it, and I shot 2 stop motions using stuff on a sheet of plastic on top of a green towel. And the third one I did, I got some clay, and I'd been working with clay ever since I was a boy. I used to have clay heads that I had done caricatures of people in the classroom inside my desk in elementary school. And so I started doing the stop motion, fooling around with clay, and it worked like gangbusters. And I brought it up to Amherst, and I showed this to Bill Cole. And when Richard Earle, who was an alum and in advertising in New York, came up to talk to us about the next generation of advertising, then Bill Cole showed him these films, and he said, "You've got to come to New York at Christmas time, and I'm going to get you a summer job for next summer." And he introduced me to Jim Henson and at the Muppets, and that was the beginning. I did the letter films on Sesame Street, and I introduced Jim to stop motion, and we formed a relationship, Jim Henson and I. We worked projects for years after that. And I went to Europe to help the German system, and I introduced the clay animation to the German television. And I also began to go kind of global at that time.
And he's at home here in the Okefenokee Swamp, surrounded by all of his friends. Now, you've known and loved them for years. This year, there's going to be something a little bit different. Through the magic of flexiform animation, Pogo's coming to life.
Recognize this cartoon comic strip? It's Walt Kelly's Pogo. You've probably seen him in hundreds of newspapers, but for the very first time, you're about to see him as the star of an animated film called I Go Pogo.
Enough is enough, and I has had it. I am departing, but before I do, I is gonna stand up for my rights.
Watch out, son. You're stepping in the pie.
I am now saying it for the last time. I absolutely, emphatically, and alphabetically will not run. Well, I won't even walk for the presidency.
We're trying to tell a story. We're incorporating motion picture and theater and graphic art, painting, sculpting, all together into one form, which is the illusion that this is a real place, that these are real living creatures. It's a fantasy. Let's figure a cutoff point.
Mark Chenoy is co-owner of Stomar Enterprises, the animation house that's creating Pogo's fantasy world. Using their unique Flexiform system, Pogo becomes almost human.
Well, the classic cartoon animation is a drawn animation, and the drawings are changed, one drawing for every change of movement. With my system, we start with a model, with a character model, and we change its position and its shape. We don't throw the model aside, we just change it and improve it as we go along in the shot.
Changing the position of the models is an agonizing process. Each scene in the film is shot frame by frame, which means that the action of a figure is created by the animator moving parts of the model. The results? Smooth, realistic movement.
Uh-oh, Porky, you're getting a knot in that line there. See that tangle?
No, that ain't gonna snarl me up. That is a big knot, isn't it? I'll tell you one thing, the line wasn't made in this country.
Of course, before any filming begins, there's a plan. For every scene in the film, there's a corresponding storyboard panel of what's to happen. The results are almost identical. By the way, there were over 1,000 panels in I Go Pogo.
Well, it's cheap line.
I found that in animation, I could do things that couldn't be done any other way. I think it's that fantasy aspect. If it's possible to imagine something, then we can visualize it, we can make it real. We can take people places that they couldn't go any other way.
Watch out! Watch out! Oh, boy, that's too bad.
Well, let me have another one.
Give it another try. There's other fish in the pond.